Hello, all you lovely people. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about courage. People think that courage is forcing yourself to do something that you're so afraid to do, and it's like jumping off a cliff. And as someone who people think is courageous, people say that surviving the kind of community that I come from, leaving the Hasidic world and starting from scratch takes a lot of courage, and it's true. But I want to really emphasize this. Courage is not doing what you think you have to do and just like taking a chance. That actually was a lesson I learned very early on, to not do something because somebody told me to. I did that mistake when I just followed my husband's guidance about something that I thought was right. Something that I agreed was true, and maybe I should do it, and I wasn't ready. But I jumped anyways, and it backfired. And why am I sharing this? Because there's so many posts and so many people who say just be courageous, fearless, all that stuff. And it's so important that you honor yourself. There is a quote in Hebrew that we were taught as kids that I did not really quite fully understand. It says, in the way that you want to go, in the direction that you want to go, you will be supported by the divine. And when I learned about the law of attraction, I felt like, yes, that's exactly what it is. You want to do something, you put your focus there, you make an intention, you take the action, and you have divine, miraculous ways how it unfolds beyond your imagination. That's really what my experience was. But it dawned on me today that the real secret is in the way that you want to go. That's where the divine help will be. You can't do something that somebody else wants. You got to honor your own journey and do it in your own time. So I'm going to give you an example what happened with me. My little kid came home from Cheder, which is the boys' quote-unquote school in Kiryas Tash, where we lived, and he had a huge scar, like a scratch on his face that the kid in his class did with a pencil. And I knew that he was being bullied here and there, and there was nothing that I was aware of that I can do, because growing up, what you do with a bully, you just wait till it passes, till that wave of horrible storm passes, because you're not supposed to fight back. That's a prohibition. That's called revenge. That's a very, very bad thing. So what happened, my son comes home, and at that time I had already knew that it's not so simple, the translation of the prohibition of revenge. There is a permission to fight back when somebody tortures you. There is a permission to stand up for yourself. But I didn't yet enact it because I didn't have the balls yet. I didn't have the information how to do it. I hadn't figured it out. But my husband was really determined that we need to help our child because somebody bullied him. My husband had suffered a lot of bullying as a kid, and he did not want this to happen to his child. So he was like, you should call the police. And I was like, oh my God, like that's extremely daring. I don't want to do that. But I didn't tell him that. I was like very furious at that suggestion. And then he told me like, it's important that he knows that we stand up for his well-being. Like he's not abandoned like that. Not anybody can do anything to our child. And after a long convincing, I was convinced that it's the right thing to do. I was extremely uneasy with this idea, but I did the brave step and I called the police. The police came and they told me that there's nothing really that they can do because this child who scratched my son's face with a pencil and tried to hurt him is really just a child. So they can't just arrest him or anything. But if I want, they can go to his house and they can scare him. They can warn him. And at that point, the police had already come to us, and I felt like just sending the police away and showing my son that there's really nothing I'm doing about it, like even the police can't do anything about it, is not the message that I want to send to my child. So I said, okay, go there and scare the child. And it felt good. Like, yeah, the child should know that there is no monkey business. You can't just do what feels good at the moment and just bully people and not be accountable for it. So the police went there, but I had no idea that family was actually illegally in Canada. So they were so terrified. They thought that I told on them, that I called the police, that they are illegally there. And such a storm ensued, because not only did the whole town know that I called the police, and I was like the worst person for doing that, but my younger child, was even tortured for it. She went over to my cousin's house, who lived in the neighborhood of that family, and she was playing with her cousin, and suddenly one of the kids of that family came out and started screaming at her. Like, she was like 3 years old or 2. I don't even remember what age she was. Screaming at her, your mother is a Rashanta. She's like an evil person, a witch, all kinds of curses. And my little girl, she was crying, and she ran in. Like, my cousin called her inside and just gave her something, a lollipop or something to calm her down. But that was really very unexpected for me to have gone through that. That not only was I, quote unquote, forced to do the right thing, and I was courageous, but to have that kind of backlash and that kind of price on it was really a very hard pill to swallow. And that really helped me, because it taught me right before I started this incredible journey of leaving that toxic environment. What it taught me was, don't do anything before you're ready. You gotta be ready for the price you gotta pay. So after this experience, I was determined every single step of the way that I take outside of this community, every transgression, so to speak, will be only when I feel ready to do it. The courage is not to just jump off a cliff. The courage is to continue in your journey despite the obstacles. You fall down, you hurt yourself, take the time to cry, take the time for the wound to heal, whatever time you need. Honor your journey, and then continue towards your goal. Just continue. The courage is to continue. The perseverance is the courage. The courage is not to jump off a cliff. Some people want to do that, and I admire that, but that's not something that you should put on yourself as the only definition of courage, because it's not. It's not, and it's not for everybody. Not everybody will reach their goals by jumping off a cliff. Some people will kill themselves, right? So we really need to honor our own path and ask ourselves, what is the loving choice? As my coach Alexis always says, tune into your own knowing, because we all have that in ourselves. Hi! Yes, and even when you're ready, it's still scary. True, yes. But the beautiful thing about this experience, when you do things when you're ready, is that it's butterflies, that it's also excitement, because you know, you have that conviction that fire in you is stronger than the fire outside of you. So you really have that peace of mind, like that's inner peace, to know that you're on the right path. When you do things because somebody else pushed you into it, what happens is you're conflicted inside, because truly your inner voice is saying, no, don't do that. I'm not ready. That's not to say that I regret that I called the police. On the contrary, I learned a very important lesson in my life, and that's always going to be the case. Whenever you make mistakes and quote unquote mess up, that's part of the journey. We learn, we grow, and we gain important information towards a better future, towards the journey that we really want to reach. Hi Shelva, so good to see you. And Ruth, thank you so much for listening. So I really wanted to leave you with that, because I get a little bit kind of mad when people try to push courage on other people. Like, be courageous, be fearless. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. You cannot tell what somebody else's courage is. Sometimes courage is very quiet. It's not about making a big noise and a big splash. Sometimes courage is just waking up in the morning and being alive, just breathing. You don't know what other people's courage is. Stop imposing that they have to do a certain thing in order to prove that they're worthy of your respect. Every single person deserves respect, love, connection, regardless of what you think they should do. And I'm talking to myself as well, because it's so easy to fall into that trap. We live in a society where there's so much judgment on performance instead of actually who the person is. We need to see past those barriers that society has put that kind of glasses onto us, where we cannot see clearly a human being, to honor the human being for the person they are, not for what they do or how they look, So it's really, I hope this helps you be courageous in a way that honors you. Be courageous in a way that you feel the conviction inside that no matter the price, you know that this is really what's worth it for you. You want this. In Hebrew it says, in the way that you want to go, that's where the divine will support you. So you really take that with you. Know that courage is not always extremely difficult. My courage was not extremely difficult. It was bearable. It doesn't have to be something out of this world. It can still be gentle. You can still be supported. You can still ask for help and make it easier on yourself. Courage, while it's happening, it doesn't even feel like courage. It just feels like this is what I need to do. I have no other thing in mind that it almost feels like it doesn't even make sense to do anything else. And then other people think, oh my God, it's so courageous. And you don't think so at the moment, because it does not feel courageous. It just feels that this is what I meant to do, So honor your courage as well. Not only choose it when it feels like this is what you want, but also honor it. Know that you are courageous, even if you don't feel like you did something that it has to fit some kind of criteria in order to be named courageous, Own your story, and really celebrate it. So thank you so much for all of you for listening. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a lovely rest of the day.